Katie, and today we're going to be doing some crayon melts. So I already put a lot of crayons on, and I decided to do some like dark blues and some like lights in the middle of it to give some variation. I just have 4 more crayons to draw on, but I'm waiting for my glue gun to heat back up. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to draw my picture that I want to do, and I was thinking something kind of like pretty. So I was going to draw an umbrella and then a little girl underneath it holding it, and then I'll show you kind of how the magic works with that. Put our little handle right here. Okay, and then so when I do this, I'm gonna tape off the umbrella and then all this part right here, and so like none of this is going to get on it. So we're just gonna draw a circle for the head. And I put hair on it, like, so that way she's kind of facing away from you to make kind of like a prettier picture. And then we're gonna have her little arm reaching up and holding it. And I'm not always the greatest at drawing arms, but that's okay. I kind of just draw them like as a fist. That way you can make a little circle shape, little knuckles, and then you just kind of put it right next to it. So that you know there's a hand there, but if you're not as artistically inclined, it really helps out. And so we're just going to let that dry a little bit because it's a wet marker. Maybe add a little bit more hair. So now we're going to take our tape that we have, and so what we do is we tape off the whole umbrella, and then we tape off everything underneath it, like it's raining around it, but the crayon water isn't getting into it. So I'm doing like varied strips down it, that way I can still kind of see where everything is. So you can use like masking tape and stuff like that. I wouldn't use duct tape only because it'll like peel up the paper part of this, and that would like not look the best. I kind of layer mine, that way I can make sure it's kind of seal proof. And then I just rip it off at the bottom, and I put it right underneath the bottom part. And anything that gets outside is okay because crayons don't mix with colors because it's wax. So you really don't have to worry too much about like, oh, I got a little bit of black outside of it, it's going to turn my green black. It's not. So basically the crowns that I took, we had a bunch, so I found all the ones that were like already broken or like had like this much left of them, and I put them all on. That way it has like a variation of colors, but it also has a variation of like how fast things will flow. Because like each company is going to make everything a little bit differently, which is fine, because then you get like a neater pattern, I would say. And then so just going to go to the top, rip off a little bit. And I'm kind of taking the tape and peeling it under where it went over the black lines that I have. Neat. So that's all covered up. And like I said, you want to ask your parents every time, because you don't want to just take like nice new crayons you got. You want to take your old broken ones because they melt really good. And then if the paper is already peeled off, that probably took the longest, was peeling the paper off individual crowns. So that was pretty rough. So my glue gun's pretty heated up right now. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna just take it, and then you wanna be very careful with this. You wanna have a parent help you and things like that. And you wanna just hold it down lightly. Like I got the back part of it really good. And then I take it and just press it. Oh, that's very nice. It's going to be kind of fun because some of them are blue, some of them are really dark purple, but you can't tell they're dark purple. Okay. So before I did this, I put them all on here and kind of pushed them together to see how many I would need, and I just grabbed an extra one just in case I needed it. And sometimes this will happen, like it fell off, which is fine. We can just glue it right back down. I'm going to peel off the old glue that happened, so that's old glue. And I'm going to put the new glue on it. And I'm going to press down a little bit harder. That way it holds. So you can see all these strings here, you just have to pull them right off. So you can use a heat gun, which is what this is. This is like a miniature little heat gun. I've also used blow dryers and things like that before, and those worked really well too. But like I said, always with parent permission and stuff like that. So I'm gonna start. So I'm kind of just going to push my tape back down. That way I can't get under it as much. So with your outside crowns, kind of what I was doing was going like this to kind of push them, because you don't want the wax to drip right off the side. So when you're doing your outside one, have the heat gun right here, and then it'll push it like that downwards. And the second you take off, they're all dry. Like, it's not coming off of my fingers or anything like that. So if you want longer lines, you kind of have to take the heat gun and press downwards on the little like sprinkles you're already getting.
When you're done, hold it up to the camera. So that you can finish off. Yeah.
So now that it's bleeding off, I'm going to take this piece of paper right here, and I'm going to kind of put it at the bottom. This is an older table, but you still want to have like a newspaper down or something like that. That way it keeps it. And when you're doing this, so obviously with parents and help and things like that, you still want to keep your hand, so if I'm blowing right here, like I'm blowing all this down, I want to keep my hand kind of on this side and like tilting it like that to manipulate it, because you don't want to burn your hand because it's still warm underneath. Just go through and press your tape down every so often, that way it doesn't come up. Wait for it to dry a little bit. We're gonna let it cool down on this side, that way I can then touch it. But I had a giant glob of paint right there, so what I did is I took my heat gun and I blowed on it, and it ended up right on the paper. So instead of it being like clumpy all over, you can just take your heat gun and kind of get it off. And then it also pushed all of the color that way, so that really helped. It's looking really nice. Like, I can see it getting a little bit under the tape, which is fine, it happens. But I'm still really excited because I can see most of my picture hasn't been like messed with. I also don't like the thick clumps of things. That's why I keep pushing it towards the bottom, so that way it all like kind of just bleeds right off the canvas. And this is a thick piece of canvas. It's like very cardboardy, but you can use any type of canvas for this. I would suggest using paper because you could burn the paper. But yeah, canvas would definitely be the best bet for this. Okay. You can also use oven mitts and stuff if you like are afraid you're gonna get burnt or anything like that. That works too. So I really like the way all the colors went and stuff like that. I'm gonna let it sit for a couple seconds and then I'll peel off all the tape. So when you peel off the tape, like these thick pieces here that connect, it might kind of pop up a little bit. That's okay. It's still your own work of art, and it can still be like however you envisioned it. You can even go back over everything with like paint if you want, because like crowns you can still paint on and things like that, especially in this form. It might not look like it's directly on it, but you can even do some optical illusions with it, which would be really neat. I'm just letting this side dry. I noticed that a lot of my darker colors ran faster than like my lighter ones did. Like this pink barely even went. And if you notice, like the backs of these are still like perfectly fine, which kind of creates like a really unique thing because you can then see the melted crown. So I really like the look of that. But you could melt the whole thing if you wanted, but then it might melt off the back too. So that's why it's important to keep it like halfway on and to always go downwards. Because if you go upwards, you can go back under basically your laid down tape and stuff. You already get a little bit underneath, so you don't want to push a bunch up again. And then it might go off the side too. Plus, that's where you put your hot glue, is at the very top, like in this section of it. You hot glue right there. And then you don't want it to like pop off the canvas at that point. Okay, so it looks pretty dry. I'm gonna lightly touch it. It's pretty warm still, but I'll start peeling it off on this side. And I can just take this off. Yep. because it's no longer melty. So you can see like the big chunks of it coming off right there. And you can see that the tape even melted to it. So that might be a good way to make sure all the tape stays connected, is to melt the tape a little bit to each other. You don't want it to melt to the canvas though, so just like a second on it with a heat gun or a hairdryer on high. If you want to control more of the way it flows and everything, kind of what I was doing when I was like tilting it and stuff, you could put a hairdryer on low and then like do it more slowly, and then you can really affect the way it turns. Okay, so like I'm gonna shake it a little bit. So it looks really neat. You can kind of see like where this like dark blue got a little bit underneath, but what I can do is I can go through and I can color it with like a colored pencil or something, and it'll completely get rid of that. Like I can make this like a nice pink dress or anything like that. And then I can go through and like color the umbrella. Or I can make it completely black and then like completely shade it out. So it really depends on how you want to make it and everything like that. You can make anything. I mean, some people have drawn like Goku from like Dragon Ball Z and stuff like that. Some people have done like Godzilla. Some people have done like their logos and then like taped off their logos and like did a crown melt with that. You can get as creative as you want with it. So I'm just going to go back through and darken my lines. And it's kind of hard to see, but it went right back over the tape like it was nothing. Okay guys, well, I'm Miss Katie and I really hope you guys enjoyed this. Let us know if you make them, show us pictures of things you might have already done if you have done this already. We'd really like to see it. Okay, bye!